Welcome back to Like Us Pod. I'm your host, Erin Jones-Wesley, through these bonus episode play-by-plays of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. You guys, we made it. It's episode 18. We made it to the finale. We now definitively know through our science who is the most relatable housewife on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. We know at the end of this episode, we will get into that. We will get into the overall scoring for this cast, who our top 3 are. I'm really excited to share all of that because this is for the first time ever, the grand reveal. I feel like in this episode 18, we saw a lot. Kyle versus Dorit versus Erika versus Sutton, who's trying to sneak her way in there. And I think overall, the theme of this episode was that actions speak louder than words. And we'll get a little bit more into that when we get into the play-by-play. But for now, I must say, I'm pretty excited that we know who is the most relatable housewife. And now that we've wrapped Beverly Hills, I think I still have an itch to see which franchise is the most relatable. So let me know in the comments. Should I keep score on Atlanta, Rhode Island, or both? I will be with you next week on my YouTube channel doing recaps for Real Housewives, so stay tuned. Now, lastly, before we get into the episode, I have to say this week's Hot Mic Confessional is, you guys, I've had enough. I've had enough of the wackadoo people online who come after Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. Now, as you guys know, I had a podcast before this one with my sister where we recapped the Meghan Markle TV series on Netflix, and it was called Meghan Like Us. And we were talking about if Meghan was relatable or not and how she was based off this show. And I have to confess, during that time, I feel like I got close to the Duchess of Sussex. So I'm on her side. I'm Team Meghan. But when I see that this past week, she went to a mental health facility where she was talking to the youth in Australia, and she shares with them a beautiful quote, which I'm going to read, which is, as she's telling them that her mental health challenges have been so tough because of the bullies online, she says something that got her through was her friend sharing a quote with her that says, "My wish for you is that you continue to be who and how you are, to astonish a mean world with your acts of kindness, and to allow humor to lighten the burden of your tender heart." And I just feel like that was so beautiful. And she shares that message, and that video goes out into the world, and everyone in the comments doesn't get it. And they're like, when was she bullied? Meghan sucks, blah, blah, blah. And I just think I'm bringing back the word whack. And if you are a Meghan hater, or if you face a Meghan hater, you should say, I think that's whack. I think it's whack to hate on Meghan Markle. That is my Hot Mic Confessional. Now let's get into the episode. So the episode starts, and it's Sutton and Erika. And right off the bat, which surprised me, because the last few episodes, I have not been feeling Erika Jayne against Dorit. Although I do think Erika holds her own. And yes, it's fun to see her be activated, I suppose. But really, for me, what got Erika a like us point right off the bat is she goes to Sutton's house. Even though I don't agree with Erika being at Sutton's house, I think she's wrong. I think Erika is wrong for being at Sutton's house and not being at the book cover party. Sorry, I said it. And that I'm going to stand 10 toes down on that. Erika, your ass should have been at the book cover party, girl. Not at Sutton's house, girl. But I did like that when she arrived to Sutton's house, she greeted Sutton's dog immediately by name. She picked him up. And if you don't greet your friends' dogs and try to pick them up when you get to their house, I'm sorry, that's not the way. You gotta greet your friends' dogs like it is their children. Those are the rules, especially if your friends are empty nesters, they don't have kids in the house, their dogs are their fur babies. Heck, even if they have a cat, as long as you're not allergic, you need to be greeting your friends' pets with warmth and love. And Erika doing that right off the bat, I was like, gosh darn it, Erika Jayne, I disagree with you vehemently for not being at your friend's book cover party. But I like that you're nice to other friends' dogs, so you get a point. I know. Look, it's an imperfect scoring system, you guys. What can I say? As Erika walks into the house, they start talking shit about not being at Dorit's party. And Erika mentions that she, hasn't called or texted yet. And I don't know. I just feel like this feels disproportionate to what has actually occurred. I don't know if the crime fits the punishment. And that is something Dorit does say later. But when I was watching this, I was like, I just don't know if Erika, she feels off base to me. We cut to Dorit and Bose at Dorit's book cover party. And Dorit is talking about that there's girls missing the event and how upset she feels about that. But in the midst of Dorit's complaints, Jennifer Tilly does the most unrelatable thing possible and has a $40,000 purse that she drops on the floor and it breaks. And then to add to the unrelatable moment, well, it was relatable, I guess, that a Tums came out. So I'm gonna give her a point. I didn't originally give her a point, but now that I'm talking about it, her having Tums in her purse is so relatable. For me, it would have been like a Zyrtec or like, like a Benadryl, or like a Lactaid that would have came out. But she had an over-the-counter medicine that came out of the purse. But then what was unrelatable is that she eats it off the floor. Like Jennifer Tilly, my girl, what are you doing? Don't do that. We then go back to Dorit being upset. And she's telling Bo, she's like, I don't understand why the girls aren't here. She's kind of, really trying to figure out what's going on. And Bo says, let's not think about it. Maybe they'll come. We get a bottom of the screen graphic that says it's been an hour and a half since the party was supposed to start. So Erika's not coming. She's at Sutton's house and they're still complaining about Dorit. Dorit has to give a speech and she's a little upset, but she's not that upset. She's just complaining to the party planner that everyone around her is a see you next Tuesday. And then she says, I'm schwitzing. I'm schwitzing. And I love a little Yiddish. I love it. A schlep. Oh, it's a schlep. Oh, I'm schwitzing. Oh, that guy, he's such a mensch. A little Yiddish is good. I think it's good for the heart. I feel like, when you're able to utilize words from, I guess in a way, it's a little bit of, what do they call it? Code switching. You gotta be able to code switch, And I feel like in this moment, Dorit, who does speak Hebrew, so it's not really code switching for her totally. But I do think like picking up slang from other cultures. We talked about this earlier in the season where Rachel Zoe liked to use the words that she was like, basta, I'm done. I do think a little bit of cultural code switch is necessary to add to your lexicon. It makes you sound like you have friends that are intercultural, that you've been around a bunch of people. If maybe you've had a friend that's British and you're going to say, we're going to go in the queue. Sometimes you just got to pick up a phrase here or there. And that's why people used to make fun of Dorit for having like, where is her accent from? Is because I do believe she does pick up slang from everybody. And then she also picks up accents from everybody. So she's been a mess. I do feel like Dorit's mini accents have actually gone to the wayside and she sounds a lot more baseline woman from the East Coast living in Los Angeles. Amanda then talks to Rachel Zoe about why she's at the party. And I believe I said this last episode, but if I didn't, it became abundantly clear in this episode that Amanda had her talking points. She's her own PR team. And being on Amanda Francis PR, she knew exactly what she was saying. And she was like, I think it's so great that we're here because Dorit has financial revenue and she's independent and it's a stream of revenue and it's women supporting women and girls got to have their own financial independence. And like Amanda is like talking in a circle about the same things because she doesn't like Dorit, but she has to be at this party and she wants to make sure that everyone who follows her, and whether or not it's a cult, allegedly, she wants to make sure that everyone knows that she isn't going to talk about it. She's going to be about it. And she's going to walk the walk. To that, I say, good job, Amanda Francis. Good job. It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. You don't have to follow the crowds. And I know that we all know that on this mic. I know you, dear listener, I know you would never follow the crowd and not show up to something because other people were telling you not to show up. I know you would never do that. So we're judging the people who are doing that. I'm sorry. Maybe this is a cult. The cult of we're judging people who are getting persuaded to do bad things to their friends. If they do bad things to their friends on their own, like Dorit, she's done some bad stuff on her own, but she wasn't being persuaded to do the bad stuff. She's just making poor decisions. But if your decisions are swayed by friends who are compelling you to behave outside of your character, you got to look in the mirror. And to that, we're judging those people. That's all I'm saying. That's the side I'm on. Welcome to the party. Dorit's kids revealed the book cover, and her kids have gotten so big. Phoenix. In my head, Phoenix is still like a 5 or 6 year old little girl. She's like 9, right? Jagger is 11. And then we cut to how everyone thinks about the book. Rachel forgets what the book is called. Kathy says it seems like it's going to be a good long summer read. I wish that Kathy Hilton would write a book and do an audiobook. That would be hilarious. I don't know. Paris Hilton has ADHD. She talks about it. She has a song about it. And I actually feel like Kathy Hilton also probably has a little bit of ADHD, And so I don't know if she could sit and do the audiobook for a book. But if she did, I think we'd all read it. Kathy Hilton should do an audiobook about hosting. All the girls sit around. They do a toast for Dorit. Dorit and Amanda have a come to Jesus moment. And Bose then tells the girls that she got engaged and everyone cheers. And Rachel takes Bose's hand to see the ring. And that was so relatable. She gets like us point because if you're not grabbing your friend's hand to be like, let me see when they get engaged, I don't know if that's your real friend. And listen, it's not all about the ring. It really isn't. It's not all about the ring. But there's something about showing your friend that you're excited that they have that ring. You know what I mean? And that's such a moment in time to be like, oh my God, let me see it. Because your friend that just got engaged, they want to show it off. They're so excited. They're like, look at this little ring on my finger. And you got to be like, oh my God, I love that ring. You go, girl. That man did good. You have good taste. He has good taste. This is going to be an amazing wedding. You better hype your friend up. And everyone does it in that moment. And I thought it was really sweet how they all cheered Bose on. Super cute. We cut to the show that we were supposed to be having all season long that we only got snippets of, which is Kyle wedding planning with the daughters. They're all on the couch. All the girls are there. We then get into like Kyle's sob story with Mauricio. And I'm sorry, like, I'm bored. I don't want to hear it. It's been so many years. Kyle, either divorce the man or stay with the man. But you can't be like, I'm showing my girls that I'm not putting up with stuff when like that man is being not great to you, honestly. And to stay married during that, I don't get it. You know what I mean? It's not like they're like working it out. It's like that's so far gone. That's so far gone. And I have to think it has to do with because of the businesses and them both not wanting to split up the finances and like whatever. But what I worry about with Kyle is it's like, what if he falls in love with one of the little hoochie mamas? And then he's like, Kyle, you know what? I'm in love. Now we got to get divorced. And now Kyle's going to have egg on her face. You know what I mean? It's like, why can't she beat him to it? Why can't she say, this is my damn business. You have that business because of my sister's husband. And you have the real estate license because of me. That's what Kyle should say. And then she should take the chain off his neck like Nunu and ATL. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I will share the meme on Threads. It's like when T.I. goes up to Lauren London and ATL because he finds out that her name's not really Nunu. Her name is Erin, and she's just a girl from the suburbs. And he says, give me that chain. And he rips it off. That's what Kyle should do to Mauricio. I'm sorry, I'm getting really far off. But I just don't know if we care that much about what's going on with them. Like, if this is Wendy Williams, she'd be like, clap if you care. And I don't know if any of y'all are clapping. You know what I mean? I do think that the couch they're sitting on looks very comfy, though. Now we cut to Rachel's Zoe's house. She's looking at some beautiful flower bouquet. And Dorit comes over. And, you know, I have to say, unrelated to anything, Rachel's blonde hair, her roots look so good. Rachel's hair is just, I think that Bose, and they talk about this at the party where Bose is like, oh my God, I look like you. I have the same hair as you today because it's like long and curled. And I think that Bozema St. John should actually have a wig in her wig line called the Rachel. And it should look like Rachel's hair. Just, Bose doesn't need a marketing tip from me, but like free game. You know, Bose, if you're listening, clap once. Clap if you're listening. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you guys need to go look up Wendy Williams on YouTube. Clap if you ever wanted to kill somebody. Like, I miss her. I miss Wendy Williams. She got under conservatorship too, like Britney Spears. Britney, rehab. Ugh. Okay, I digress. Sorry, this is where my brain is today. It's all over the place because I wasn't happy with this finale. In Beverly Hills, you know, like I'm glad. I'm happy with the show. I'm team Dorit, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like the pot stirring wasn't stirring. You know, it's like, you know, when you're like trying to stir a pot, but you didn't stir it soon enough, and so some of the stuff is stuck to the bottom. I feel like that's what happened this season in Beverly Hills. It's like someone was trying to stir the pot of oatmeal, but the oatmeal got stuck to the bottom of the pan. And so they're stirring the pot, but not everything is getting stirred. You know, like some stuff is sedentary, it's stagnant, it's stuck. And I think that's what happened. Dorit vents to Rachel. Rachel listens. That's their relationship, right? We don't get much information about Rachel in that moment. We only hear about Dorit and how she's dealing with Kyle and Rachel trying to give advice. But they say, you know what? Kathy's having a party. We're all going. Cut to Kathy Hilton's house. She's having a party for Nikki's new jewelry line. And I've never loved Kathy Hilton more. She's going into detail about throwing a party, and she's listing all of the things down to that you need to care about the toilet paper. And I do feel like Kathy Hilton talking about that if the details aren't perfect, she's not going to have a good time. I believe that so deeply. I have been an event producer, and I know that Kathy throws a good party. I haven't been to one, but I just know. She talked about that she learned how to host from being at the Hilton hotels and, you know, looking in the ballroom. And to me, Kathy talking about this party, it was a like us moment for Kathy. So that's the friends of having 2 like us points this episode. Just something to keep in mind. Rachel rides with Erika and Kyle, and Erika has no remorse in the car. She's like, yeah, I didn't go. I didn't text her. I didn't call. I don't care. And Rachel's just in the back seat like, these girls are wackadoo. Like her facial expression, she's like, These chicks are crazy. I don't know. And she just stays quiet. She stays mute and keeps it cute. This is riding in the car with Dorit, and they talk about Erika telling Bose that she didn't show up to Dorit's party because Erika was hoping to get Dorit's attention, which is like, her attention for what? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Get her attention? Like, for what? Because, and when she says this, I remember back in the meal in Italy when everything went down. I think that Dorit, and based off of what I saw from the reunion trailer, I think that Dorit was implying that Erika wasn't working. And I think that that got Erika so annoyed that she was like, oh, you think I'm not working? Well, now I'm going to put it all towards you. And now you and I are fighting. Since you think I'm not working, how about that? And like, pick a fight with someone else. But I guess like Dorit called to herself, you know? She brought it on to herself. This is what I'm saying though. Bad decisions. So Dorit, I'm not saying Dorit's not making bad decisions. Some of her decisions are poor decision-making skills. But I'm still on her side because I think they're kicking a woman when she's down, and I don't think that's right. Everyone arrives to the party. Erika says that Kathy throws a better party than Kris Jenner. Ooh. Kris Jenner catching strays. Sutton and Amanda also arrive, and Amanda sits down with Kyle and Erika, and I liked that in this moment, Amanda kind of like whacks Kyle and Erika a little bit. She's like, yeah, I showed up to Dorit's party because like I support women. Erika then FaceTimes her new boyfriend, John, because it's a last-ditch effort to make it look like she tried this season, even though I don't know how much Erika tried this season. You know what I mean? I also think it's interesting that Erika's like openly dating because she's not divorced yet, but I guess like the end is near with Tom, dark. And I guess like also she figures everyone hates Tom, so they don't care if she's dating someone new because everyone's like, yes, please, girl, leave him. You know, she's not going to divorce him though because I think it'll be a mess, and I think she needs to be able to plead the fifth against her husband. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. Don't listen to me, but that's what I think. Dorit finally arrives to the party, and she gets a drink, and then she runs into Denise Richards at the bar, and Denise Richards looks great, in such good shape. And they head over to the ladies, and Dorit's like, oh, all these little bitches over here. She's not excited about it. And the real showdown begins. So Dorit starts off, I believe, pretty chill in this argument that she's in about trying to get to the bottom as to why everyone didn't show up to her party that was important to her as a single mom who's raising her children, who needs the support of her castmates to make sure that her book gets the sales that she needs the book to get so that she can be financially independent from her husband, who is shitty. I don't know. Seems pretty basic. Kyle goes into being aggro. Then the roles switch, and Kyle starts to kind of temper off her anger, and Dorit's on the ropes. And then Erika doesn't really let Dorit land a punch, right? If this was a boxing match, it would be like Dorit's kind of starting off. She's bobbing and weaving. Kyle's trying to hit her. She's like not really doing it. Dorit kind of lands a punch on Kyle about like, my life's tough and you're being hard, right? Kyle then goes, oh, she tag teams Erika. Erika gets in, and they get Dorit on the ropes, right? Dorit's like taking it. And she doesn't have anything, she's not having landing one thing. Erika is making sure that everything Dorit says doesn't land. And it's tough. It's hard to watch. It's uncomfortable. I didn't like it one bit. It was tough. They don't wrap anything. There's no resolution. The episode wraps, zero resolution. It went nowhere because no one's ready to face the facts. No one's ready to really apologize. I think Dorit has apologized. I don't know if Kyle is never going to apologize, I don't think, because I don't think she likes Dorit very much. And Erika, based off what I saw on Watch What Happens Live this week, I do feel like Erika and Dorit want to make amends. I think that they're not going to make amends until after everything comes out. And I think that's just the truth of that. I wonder what Dorit's going to say about Erika in the book. You know what would be awkward? What if Dorit is writing in the book and she's like, Erika Jane Girardi is one of my best friends. I love her so deeply. And what if she's like being so sweet about Erika, and then Erika has to read that in the book when she's been so mean to Dorit? Because not like your worst nightmare, like someone that you're like kind of being mean with, having beef with, and they like write about you like lovingly in a book, and you're like, oh, ooh, I look like the jerk. I don't know, that could happen. I'm just saying. I love Erika Jane, by the way. Just saying, I don't like her and Dorit fighting. The thing is, too, is Erika and Dorit fighting against each other. They're both cancers, zodiac sign cancers. And so it's really like the Spider-Man meme that both of them like staring at each other, being like, you, like they're fighting in the same style, and they just like rotate styles. And so they don't really, nothing lands, nothing ever really gets there. It's tough to watch. We wrap the episode with no resolution. Sutton tries to get one more lick in with Dorit at the end, which is like, what are you doing, Sutton? Stop it. Just go home. Go home. Go home, Roger. She talks to Dorit. Dorit's says, I'm uninterested. I don't want to hear this. What you have to say isn't relevant to me. Sutton leaves. And that was the end of the finale, believe it or not. I think, thank God we kept score this season, you guys. What would we have done had we not had the scorecard to give us momentum for this show? What would we would have had nothing. We would have had nothing. I feel like the scorecard kept us grounded. And so let's look at the scores. Rachel Zoe ends this season Rookie of the Year for our first ever Like Us first place winner, Rachel Zoe. 19 relatable moments and 95 points on the season. She gets first place. Woo, Rachel Zoe. Erika ends the episode with a Like Us moment, bringing her to second place for the overall season. She had 14 moments overall and 70 points. Not so far behind Rachel, but you know, Rachel had a pretty substantial lead, 95 points and 70 points for second place. In third place, who did not have any Like Us points for this episode, but solidified her third place finish with 11 moments on the season and 55 points overall, Bozoma St. John. Fittingly, at the end, we have Kyle and Dorit, who are tied with 50 points apiece. And the friends of are also snuck in there, 50 points apiece, tied with Kyle and Dorit for fourth place finish. In fifth place, we have Sutton and Amanda at the bottom with 45 points. But if you like your Housewives Unrelatable, maybe they're your winners. They had 9 moments of relatable moments over the course of the season apiece. And you know what, you guys, I have to say, this has been pretty fun. I plan to continue my Bravo recaps on my YouTube page. So make sure to subscribe to Erin Jones-Wesley so that you get the next one. It's at Erin Jones-Wesley. You can also follow the Like Us Pod channel. We will be back to our normal talk show video podcast format starting on April 30th with me and my sister Danielle. We kick off season 2, which is going to drop on Thursday, April 30th. We can't wait to chat with you guys then. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll chat more next week.